Hello, everybody. So good to see you. So I'm here. I'm here. And Lisa, you got up to 82 today. Whoa, it's been chillier here and dampy, rainy, windy. That you should hear that wind. And they said since the ground is soft, it's going to be interesting to see if any trees come down. So if I lose power tonight, please understand. Yes, in fact, I hopefully all of you are safe because this trough, the cold front that's come, I don't know why my nose is itchy. What is that supposed to mean? But that cold front that's coming down across the country is finally getting here. I have to tell you, I was looking out the front door today, and my star magnolia is about done blooming. My daffodils are more than halfway done. But I saw all kinds of perennials coming up through the ground. My maple trees getting little, red buds as the leaves come out. It's kind of exciting. My red bud tree is even starting to get a red tinge. So it's like that 80 or 82 degree day we had a week ago got everything going. So leaves are coming out. My nose really does itch. I don't know why. So I guess it's all of the pollen that's starting to come out now. So let's see who is here. And do y'all see something back there? Yay! So Barbara Smith, electric's off. Barbara, sorry, sweetie. And Barbara, hopefully you belong to our group. I think you do. If not, we'd love to have you join. Jody, power's off with Jody. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. I tell you what, if we could put all the power lines under the ground, it would be nice, but every time it gets this windy and trees go down, but y'all stay nice and safe. Debbie is here. You have rain in Maryland. Yeah, we, I think north of us, it was a little risky. I know Dallas was bad today, but Lisa, it's so good seeing you. Betty Middleton is here. And Diana B is here. You won't believe this. I'm so rude. I dropped a hint in her ear about, what do you think we should do for this Christmas? She did such a great job on the snow globes, but we'll see. We'll see. We're thinking of something a little less intense, but she's just so talented. I love it. When I see somebody that's got that talent and I can share it with you, yay. So, okay, I love it. Because, some people are better at making quilts. Some people are better at designers. Thank goodness we have all kinds of people because then the rest of us get the benefit. So that's wonderful. Denise is here. Hi, New Orleans. Yes, and Denise, I sent an invitation to join our group. So hopefully she's gotten it and it works. If not, let me know. Sometimes people don't see it in their inbox or don't get it. And we'll keep trying till we figure it out. All right, let's see. Kathy Klein. Oh, it's windy in Illinois with Kathy Klein. Robin's here. Hi, sweetheart. My lymph nodes in my neck are a little sore. And you know what? I think it's the shingles vaccine I had. And you received the invite and joined. Yay, Denise. We got another new member. We're getting close to 100 members in our group's IO. So I'm very tickled. And our group's IO is a place that you can put your photos, have your own photo album. You can ask questions, share free patterns, just share good things going on in your life and maybe some sad things you'd like people to think about you for. So, all of that works. Hello, Hummer Klein. What a cool name. Hello, how are you? The border on my quilt makes it look, you know what? I didn't even think that. Hi, Miss Polly. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. Sorry I had to change it until tonight. Yesterday, I think what it is, I've had a little tummy bug. that started Sunday night. Just don't ask me to eat any country ribs anytime soon because I was up all night. So they didn't stay with me. And so I've had this tummy bug. Then I went Monday to get my shingle shot, and I thought I did pretty good with it. I could feel some lymph nodes. I could feel my arm was sore for a couple days. Anything better is better than the 2 months that I suffered from shingles. So I don't want to get it again. So, but I think it being tired, and I've been overstretching lately. And when Miss B watches this, she's going to say, I knew it. Because I tend to get myself in pretty deep. Something goes wrong or I feel a little poorly, and then I can get behind so quickly. And it's like I put on the brakes and all the train cars come and bump me right down. So yesterday I was like, I just can't do this. I'm really having a hard time. And my tummy was hurting. So be careful. What spaghetti is not good on a tummy that's very sensitive because it's been a little sick. So, but thank you for giving me time to pull back and take another day to get ready. It kills me to do it. I miss you so much when I don't do it. But sometimes it's not doing the show that's really the hard part. It's the work that goes up and up towards the show. Getting all the things that I want to show you done, patterns drawn, all of that. So I'm retired. I know. I forget that all the time. So, you had shingles on I had it on my forehead and scalp too. Mine started right down over my eye, my left eye, and went back. Is that what you had? Oh. You have a bug too. Yeah, see, I've gotten out and about a little bit more, and I think I picked up a little tummy bug. And my tummy is just like really sore, like sensitive, so I have to be careful. Your left eye too. Yep, that's the shingle. And I had to go to an ophthalmologist because if shingles gets on your cornea, you can go blind. So they sent me to an ophthalmologist. She said, thank goodness it's just the eyelid. But I mean, it went eyelid all up into here. So Denise, I feel for you, darling, because mine lasted from May 5th to the middle of July. And it was not fun. I swelled up like a boxer. I am there with you. All righty. So I've got the pattern that I'm still drawing on, but I've been very busy with my quilt. And let me tell you what I ended up doing. I'm so excited. Oh, I heard thunder. That's interesting. My grommet does not like thunder. So he will tremble and shake. And so he is not a thunder person. And stop and think about this. We're having thunder on March 3rd. Little early, don't you think? All right, so I'm so excited to show you this. You won't believe what I did, especially because since I'm telling you I got overwhelmed and been feeling fatigued and tummy upset. I started working on this last night before dinner. I told Mark I want to do the thread painting on it. And let me see. Yep. It can be right around the back. My son had it on his back. I wanted to do thread painting on this, and I've done a lot of thread painting on it, and I'm going to show all of it to you. My sewing machines have been acting up lately, and you know what? I said, I've got this long arm sitting right up there. The things that my sewing machine don't like to do, my long arm loves to do. So I put it on my long arm. Now, I just put the quilt itself, no batting or backing yet. Just put it on to do the thread painting. Now, the only problem with doing that is the thread breaks often. So I found that I had to go slowly because understand I'm going through some glue. I'm going through 3 and 4 layers of fabric and monofilament and paint. And so going through it, oh, you're so sweet. I tell you what, my house is too messy to have anybody come over. Today I sat on the couch and I said, I'm having a rough time. I said, everything is just glommed on me. And everywhere I look, the house needs cleaning, my studio needs cleaning, my frame room needs cleaning. I need to finish straightening this up. It's a mess. The dogs need grooming. I mean, it's just one thing after another. But Mark said, well, let's just take one step at a time. And I thought, you're right. But I stayed up. I put this on the long arm frame. I worked on it yesterday, starting about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I worked on it, then ate dinner, then worked on it again, then had a little time with Mark, then stayed up till 4 a.m. working on this. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was the best thing. It was just what I needed. Sometimes when, I don't know if you're like me, I always blame it on my artistic nature, but I hate stopping and starting. And sometimes you just get on a roll where things are working and the colors are going right and it's working. Hi, Miss Mary and Michelle the quilter. And everything's going right. And then you have to stop and do something. That is so hard, because then when can you get back to it? And then what were you doing before you left it? So Mark went to bed, I guess 10:30, and I just said, I hope you don't mind, but I'm just going to work on my quilt for a bit. And sure enough, it was the best thing for me, because I could concentrate and work, because when you do it just a little bit at a time, sometimes it just becomes, you start to question yourself on everything. But if you get in that zone, it is amazing. So I'm going to show you what I worked on it. Now, Mark was worried. And when he came in before bed, he said, I'm just worried you might overdo it. It was looking so good with just the fabric and the ink tints, and now you're putting all that thread on it. I said, but I just smiled at him and kept working. So, it is so good to see everybody. Now let me bring my camera over here and bring it down. But you'll see a lot of thread painting. Get ready. Oh, Jody, I'm sorry. You got it too. So that tummy bug is going around. All right. So here we go. Let me see. It's a little close. Let me make sure. Okay. All right. I'll start down here at the bottom. All right. So I didn't have this inner border or outer border on here when I had it on the frame. It was just this part. So I came in. Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Is my long arm loud? Now I closed the door and it's pretty good. It's not too loud. So I'm happy about that. And so if you'll see, I came in here on some of the rocks to make it look nubbly. I did little loopy, circly things. I did a lot of highlighting, a lot of shading. But I told myself, Deb, don't cover all the fabric up. You'll never eat rice again. I know, whatever you end up throwing up, you swear, it's like, I'm never touching that again. But anyway, I added some, I wanted to liven up the colors a little bit. So to some, I added more of the brown and I added more shading. And then I was able to, with the thread, go in and give some nice shadows and things. Yes, Jody has. She's had more than her share. So up here. Now this one I added kind of a lot, but some of them just needed the extra help. Some of them needed very little. Oh, thank you. I tell you what, that's one of the, now since y'all put that bug in my ear, I'm just egotistical enough to go, okay. So I wanted to get it just right. And so you'll see, and oh, I found that I could do little faint lines in the water to make it look like it really is water. And then I had this reflection that I think is really working. And see, with just doing a little bit of thread, it makes it lighter. Doing a little heavier thread makes it more pronounced. But now it's really interesting that every step of the way adds something. Now here I brought up this edge of the water. Now one problem I had is I had painted this with acrylic paint. And when I went to do the thread painting on it, it chipped all the acrylic paint off. And so what I did is I did the sewing. I added a couple little drips that I saw on the inspiration piece. I did the sewing, and then I came back over it with some more of the white acrylic. So that's the only thing that has acrylic paint as such. A couple little areas where I did a dry brush, but I really like it. I like that I was able to come in and differentiate the rocks under the water, but by using a very subdued brown thread, it still looks like it's under the water. Hello, Marcia. Hi, sweetheart. Yeah, we all send good thoughts to our Jody. We just love her so much. And so anyway, I was up. I probably have put, I was trying to think of how many hours that I have put into this. But the one, if y'all remember my rooster quilt, I put 200 hours into him. So this one's not going to set a record. But this is not something, oh, thank you, sweetie. And just working, after I had done all of the thread painting on my long arm, and those of you who have a long arm, really consider it because it made life so much easier. But just know, with all these different layers and the glues that are under the fabrics, you have to go slowly, and your thread will shred. And because I don't use long arm thread when I do this, I use my my thread painting thread, which is a collection of this, that, and everything. And the basic thing is you do a light and medium and dark of every color. Like in the pond, I have some actual white, I have a yellow, I have a gold, and I have a medium brown. So it's just doing all those, the light, mediums, and darks, and just go over it all and keep working on it. But with the thread, I was really able to give it some distinct zones. So you can kind of go, this is one thing, that's another thing. Then I was able with the thread to go into the dark areas and add some stitching in the background, so it's not just dark fabric. In fact, I'm having a hard time showing it to you, but there's stitching in there to give texture and just a little extra color. In here, this was gravel, so I came in again and did little circlies, and just kind of here I was able to do, look at the bush now. With the thread painting, it really brings the complexity of the colors out. It looks more like branches. Isn't that neat? And then here I have the plants that are dripping down. These are dried ones. These are still green. But with the thread, I was able to go up and give that a more distinct look. Then I went over the trees. That was the fun part. I used a dark green for these trees that are in the deep shadow. This one has 4 different colors in it. Let me bring you down just a little bit so you can see it more. I used a light yellow on the side that gets the sun. Then it was a matter of using darker, duller greens where it's not direct sunlight or light colors. Here's another bush, and I did a lot of swirls and squiggles to just give that a leafy look. Then here's another tree. And at first I was a little worried that I did these kind of loopy looking things. But when I hold it up and you get back from it, thank you, Miss Marsh. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody. When I move it back, then it looks more like bark. But here, all the little, I really concentrated on bringing that sunlight in with pale yellow, a lime green, a medium green, and a dark green. So there are 4 different colors because the dark green you barely notice. It's down in there. But you see each tree, I tried to give it a little bit of a distinct look. They're not all the same. I wanted you to think of them as different species. So not everyone's the same color. I didn't want it to be cookie cutter. And the ones closest to the sunny area got a lot of highlighting. And then this one is the other side in the deep shade. Now, in some areas, I've noticed that the little pokies happened on some of the threads. So I may have to go back. And what I would do, like right here is a pokey, I would just take a micron pen and color it like that. Boom. Now it's gone. So anywhere, if I get, pokies is where the bobbin thread comes up. When you are working on the long arm or even a domestic and you're working through so many layers and a stiffness of the quilt, you might get the pokies. And it's really hard to get your tension just right because you're going over thicker and thinner areas of the quilt. So if that's much of a problem seeing the bobbin thread come through, then all you have to do is get your little marker and just put a dot on there. Nobody will even know. This is where I didn't want to always cut the threads, so I just kind of ran from one area to the next. And I'm just going over. If I see something I don't like, I go over it and take it out. I mean, I'm going over this with a fine-tooth comb for sure. Like, it brings up some of the little threads. Oh, my hands too. Some of the color sometimes rubs off. But I'm trying to get every little thread. But anyway, I'm thinking you look and you think, oh, that's a lot of thread painting. Is that going to distract? But I'm going to get ready and hold it up and then let you see what you think. So, because to get good definition and to get highlights, you kind of have to jump in and do this. But hopefully people know, just step back a little bit from it. But I was able to go in with ink tints and in thread painting. See, I ran a little black thread down to give some shadow. And then I came back in and touched up with the white. So, and this morning, I worked on it last night after I got it off the frame. I went in and touched up the white paint. And Mark said, it's looking too monolithic, because, whoops, sorry. I go to paint it with a solid, and then, come on. I go to paint it with a solid paint, and then I got a little heavy-handed. So you know what? I always tell you, don't be afraid when you do this because you can fix everything. Let's say I put the paint on the waterfall and it was just ridiculous. All I'd have to do is cut that fabric out and start again, but I didn't even have to do that. So what I had done is I had done thread painting on it. It made all the acrylic paint pop off. I had like this white little dust of everything. So then I thread painted it. Then I put more acrylic paint on. Well, then I had it on too thick. So what did I do? I came down here and with my ink tints pencils, I put some gray back in to give it a little depth again, not make it look too white. All right. Oh, you sweetie. Okay. I do sell my quilts from time to time if I get somebody really wants one. And but now I want you to really look at it. Let me make sure I've got it. Okay. And now you can see that you don't see all the individual thread painting. What you do see is the shadowing and the highlighting. And I think it brings the quilt more to life. So what do you think, guys? Do you think I'm about ready to quit? So anyway. Oh yeah, this will be for sale once I enter it into a show. I try not to hang on to all my quilts because if each one I hang on to is one less that I feel like I can go and make. But anyway, now what I'm going to do now is to show you. Oh, I'm so glad. I tell you, it's so funny. I start this stuff and I think, where am I going? I told Mark, I just start with a piece of muslin and then just take scraps of fabric and go with it. And it's amazing how you can bring it to life. There have been 4 at least times when I've been working on this that I thought, have I ruined it? But I told you to expect that. When you're doing the landscape quilt, you get used to seeing it a certain way. Then you add something new and you think, oh my God, I've ruined it. But you know what? Putting the highlight in on the pond really was that last thing that took it over into, look at that water. So that I'm excited about. And I was working with a interesting color pond because we all think of ponds and think green and blue and all of that. But I wanted to keep it true to the photograph. And oh, honey, y'all are so, so, so sweet. So, but also look at Betty Middleton's Waterfall because the way she did it is really pretty and it was a lot easier than what I did. So there's all different ways to achieve. Marcia bought one of my quilts. In fact, I think that's really, I've done quilts for people, but not this kind. She bought my first art quilt that I sold. So I'm really tickled that she likes it. So anyway, all right. So there it is. I think that, well, I tell you, I want to enter it in a show to see what happens. And then if anybody wants to buy it, I'll miss it, but I'll take lots of pictures. Now what I'm going to do while I'm doing this is show you, okay, I like doing this as the way I finish a quilt because I want it to look like a piece of art. And if you see my beach quilt over there on the wall, what I do is I make it look like it has a mat board like you would use on a painting and then a frame. And to me, black's just really, I don't know. I wanted to do a nice black because I had so many natural colors in the quilt. And what I'm going to try to do is look for quilting patterns that would reinforce the fact that this is supposed to be a frame. Now, what I did is I sewed the inner border. I cut it 2 inches. So when it finishes, it's 1.5 inches. And I thought that'll be about the right amount of color to pretend that it's the mat board as if it were a painting. Then I cut the black 4 inches. And I did something that I don't often do. You do like that, and plus it's a Jenny Buyer. And you know how I feel about my Jenny Buyer. Got to put it in every quilt. So this time I sewed these 2 long strips together. And it worked really, really well. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. I wanted to miter it, okay, because I feel like that gives it a much nicer finished edge. So now I'm going to show you, okay, how do I miter that? So let me move everything back over here. Bring you back over here, and I'm going to show you. It is so easy. You just have to trust yourself. And I like having these two pieces of border act as one. Mark wasn't sure about the matte color material I picked out, but I wanted this to be like a classic work of art. You know, just something. I just felt like the art asked for being handled this way. You know, it's like you just look and listen to your artwork. All right. Now, and after I finish this border, then it has to go back on the long arm and be quilted. And I'm going to quilt it just enough for it to be a quilt. I'll outline different design, outline different, like trees. I'll outline the trees, things like that. And then that'll be the finish. All right. So what I'm doing right now is I have folded this quilt diagonally. Okay. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to, let me see if I can, oh, I got to plug it in. I want to make sure you have enough light to see what I'm doing. Gromit, you're going to have to move out from Mommy, honey. I know you're nervous, but you know, no worries. All right. So, okay. So what I'm doing, so folded this diagonally, and then I'm feeling the seam allowances to make sure that this seam lines up with this seam, okay? And this seam lines up with this one. So I come back in here and I make sure I've got the corner of this, because what I'm doing is really folding it, making sure it's in the right place. And to know you have a true diagonal, if all of these seams line up, let me show you. Got to make sure that these seams line up. And you can feel right when they're about right, okay? Then make sure you lay these two flat. Now, this piece is a little short. I may have to add another piece of black to this to make sure it has enough room for the miter to meet all the way out. What I do, I normally cut the border. In fact, let me go ahead and sew this on real quick. I normally cut the border, the width of the border longer, because if I do that, the width longer, then I know that it will fit. So let me now put this on. I'm going to sew that triangle on just to make sure. What I don't want to do, I do not want to try to shorten the angle because one of the pieces is shorter than the other. I don't want to do that because I want a nice flat miter. So on here, let me see. On this piece right here, I just put an extra triangle and I'll press it out. Now that gives me enough length at that little corner that I can sew the miter perfectly. So I come back in here. I get it just right. Time that you take right now is time you don't have to spend ripping stitches out. All of that, okay? Now, let me get it just right. And you just have to feel. You have to feel the seams and make sure, yes, they are meeting perfectly. All right, so this is good. It's good. So now what I'm going to do is get my long ruler. Let me move this back so you can see it. I've got my tailor's chalk and long ruler. I made a short the other day for this, but I haven't downloaded it and edited it yet. So I just lined the ruler up with the very edge of that diagonal quilt line. Okay, this is, if I line that up perfectly, then I come mark this. Let me slide it now so it lines up with both of those, and boom, there I go. And I don't even know, yeah, I'm just going to need a little bit of that extra edge I put on there. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here and put a pin just to keep it lined up. All right. Let me get the camera over here by the machine. But you saw, you just fold it on the diagonal, line your seams up from one side to the other, then come lay it under your machine like this, and you run. Let me come over this way just a little bit. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to line it up so the edge here, so my needle runs right even. Let me get this really good. Because if you don't get it right this time, then it won't quite match up. I'm going to come under this lip and line my needle up. Whoops. This is not showing you, but I'm going to line the needle up right there at that corner of the body of the quilt. I don't want to sew the body of the quilt, so I just put the needle, back it right up to that, then drop it down. Make sure this is still lined up really good. And then I'm going to drop it down 2 stitches or so per inch, because I want to make sure that this really stays. All right. Now let's come back over to the ironing board. Whoops. Oh, come back up a little bit. All right. Let's see how we did. Take this pin out. So once you line up the diagonal, and you have the 2 pieces laid out, look at that. Isn't that easy? That is not hard at all. Not hard at all. And I can tell already it's good. So then what I do is come back under here and take out, cut it, trim it back to 1/4 of an inch past the stitching. Just 1/4 of an inch past the stitching. And this will give you, it uses a touch more fabric, but this gives you the nicest finished look. And that's what you want. When you enter any quilt into a show, they're going to look for these things. They're going to look, how flat does everything lie? You know, does it really meet? And that's pretty darn good. So now I'll show you the whole quilt again with that done. Okay. Do it again. Sorry about that. Okay. So now all 4 corners have been completed. And I think it just gives it that little extra touch. Now I will be using probably a polyester batting in this. I've got to find a backing over there. And this, I'll have this on and off in just a matter of a few hours. And like I said, that I'll do quilting to emphasize the designs. So around rocks, around the trees, I don't want to add a pattern as such. This is already busy. It's already complete. It really doesn't need all of that. I'll do on either side of the waterfall. So I'll just kind of outline. And I'm not going to go around every rock. I don't want it to be too busy. But important ones or where it gives it a nice look, that is what I will do. Then I need to put on binding, but what I might do is knife edge the quilt where I'll take the backing and this and I'll fold them to the inside, match them up against one another, and do an invisible stitch. And that just keeps it from even having that binding taking away from it. That's what I did with Marsha's quilt is I just folded it in, put the two pieces together, and do an invisible stitch. So the next time you see this, it will be quilted. So thank you, because you encouraged me. If I didn't have this channel, I wouldn't have thought of doing this. And this is why you've really added so much to my life. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start on quilt number 2. So I'm going to get a piece of muslin and it's going to, let me see. Let me find my drawing that I've started here, and I'll have this ready to go. If anybody wants this pattern, I'll have it ready to go by tomorrow. So it's going to be my typical 4 pages wide, because I will scan each one of these in separately. You will print them out, and then you'll see where I'll put registration marks so you can line it up. And then let me turn this off and see if it'll brighten the screen up. No, actually it didn't. Okay. But it'll, the drawing, and I like to write in what colors and everything. I will send you pictures of my inspiration. This one quilt came from at least 5 different beach images. So what I'm doing right now is just making sure I cut a big enough, get this out of the way, make sure I cut a big enough piece of muslin to start this. And what I think I'm going to do, my favorite thing to make sure I get a straight piece is I tear. All right. All right, save those scraps for another time. All right. Now, I make it, now the drawing's going to be this big, but I cut out my muslin 2 inches bigger on every side. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this just because with all this stuff laying here, it's faster and easier just to cut. But I do it 2 inches bigger than the image that I'm trying to capture. Okay. And you can make yours any size you want. Even if you use the drawing, you can make it any size. Here is, I put a picture on our site of the little drawing I did. I always kind of do a mock-up and then I enlarge it onto a, what I want, what size I want to work on. So I will have that done. All right, so what I'm going to do with this right now. All right. Now this is even much bigger than I want. So let me do one more tear. 2 inches bigger all the way around, at least. All right, so cut that. Tear that off and save muslin, boy. You will use it for other things. All right, looks like it's still too long this way. So I'll do another cut here and tear. All right, now if I wanted to, I could have opened up the muslin and cut the size I want, but I know I'll always use it. All right, so here we go. That's my muslin. Let me get this tilted down a little bit more and send you up there. All right. So, whoops. Let me take this one off and see if that'll help. Oh, I was wondering what's in front of the camera. It's my little microphone cord. Okay. So now, there we go. I've got the right size. Okay. Now I'm going to take this off. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to heavily starch this because you're going to be doing a lot of things on this piece of fabric. Normally, I would let this sit here a few minutes, let it soak in, because you know, if you iron your starch too quickly, you can get the little flakes. So that's why it's good to let it soak in. Our mothers used to take and a damp shirt that they had washed, they would spray starch on it, wrap it in plastic, and put it in the refrigerator until they were ready to iron it. And it's just a matter of letting it soak in really good so you get the best result. All right, so now that's much, much nicer. Not much thicker, nicer. Now I'm just going to iron this part down here. In fact, I like the smell of the starch. It reminds me of childhood and smelling the starch on laundry day. Okay. I learned before 10 years of age how to perfectly iron a man's dress shirt. Sadly, men don't really need to wear dress shirts anymore, but I know how to do it. All right, now what I'm going to do is take a medium weight. And if you have any questions, oh, here we go. I get so excited when new people get here, and I just love everybody. Oh, Diane is so sweet. Wait till you see the pictures she sent me. She has got the sweetest, prettiest face. All right, so now this is a medium weight, and I used it last time, and I think I'm going to use it again. And so I'm going to come here and cut this out. And I really only need one because, you know, you could put more to fill up the entire thing, but I'm trying not to use my edges, and this one fits just about perfectly. And you know, the fusible part is the nubby part. Okay, so now I get my iron nice and warm. I might even bump it to a linen, a 7, because this heavy interfacing sometimes takes a little more heat to get it to stick. Okay. I told you I would start you right from the beginning. And what I'd like for you to invest your money in is muslin and fusible interfacing, because I use them for every single landscape quilt. And you'll be awfully happy when it comes time to handle the quilt, especially doing thread painting, to have a nice fusible interfacing. Now, if you don't have a medium weight, you can always iron one piece of lightweight. When it's ironed on really good, put another piece right over that and iron that on. And take your time and get it pressed on. Now, you never want to iron too much. If you iron too much, if it's too hot or it stays in one place too long, what happens is the glue will totally melt. It'll melt into the fabric instead of staying half on the fusible and half on the fabric. It'll melt fully into the fabric, and then guess what? It'll come right loose like you never put it on there. So It's important to follow the instructions of the fusible you use. And, or if you're like me and you're stubborn and you don't want to use a damp cover cloth, then you just make sure you do a good job otherwise. I don't always follow the rules, so it's hard sometimes to tell y'all to, because it's like, oh, come on. So now I've gotten it. I think we're pretty well down. If you're worried that it's not sticking well enough, this is a good time to go around and do a basting stitch with inexpensive thread, just a 1/4 of an inch inside the fusible. You see that? So, all right, now, and I've got to tell Miss Jody something. I don't know if she's still here in the dark, my dear girl, but I was always wishing I had a signature, because I love Jody has her signature works. There's so many of you that are so good with your signature works. When I was working on this one, I realized that is my signature. If you want to know what Deb does differently, it's the way I landscape. Because, oh, Mary, you used to, I did too. And I was so proud never to burn them or scorch them. And you remember the Coke bottles with the little sprinkler lids? What I'm doing now is taking and folding the fabric in half and then in half again. Because this is how you're going to transfer your drawing. Okay? So now it's starched, it is interfaced, and now it has the ironed registration lines, okay? And the reason I do these registration lines is because the drawing is 4 pages, and that way, boom, you lay it on there, and it's easy to transfer what you see onto. And I guess what I actually do, and this is the thing. So I was working on this earlier, and I was drawing the protection fence here, but you can't really see it good. So I said, I need to come in here, and I need to draw over it with enough of a marker so that you can actually see what are you actually working on. And so I will make sure that I get all of this. I was hoping to get it finished today, but I got a little sidetracked a little. All right, so it's going to come to you in black, and I try to make it as dark as I can, even if I have to use a regular Sharpie. And then I will also, like, okay, over here, I'm going to have some of those sea oat type grasses. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little and show you a little better. Okay. All right. So over here, you can see this post and then the sand fence. But back here, it's going to be really cool. We're going to have some of those sea oats come up and be very prominent here. So these will not be put on until all of your color is blocked in. But then there are going to be these great giant sea oats right like this. And I think that is going to be so dramatic when you're working on this. So we're going to have some of those, and then we're going to have some different grasses near this fence. And I'm going to finish the fence in here like I've got it. And then we're going to do something where I'm going to draw some footprints. And just so you know, on a beach, whoops, I'm out of range. On a beach, footprints are elongated. You don't just step and then step up. In the dry sand, they're elongated because people tend to drag their feet. So I'm going to have certain footprints. You can use whatever kind of beach fabric you have. But what we're going to do is right here, I'm going to have the dune part right here. It's going to come down where the people walk on it a lot. Then it's going to come back over and be a little higher over here. And this is where we're going to have a chance to have a lot of dune grass. Whoops, still not in screen. Okay. We're going to have a lot of dune grasses over here. And then I'll have some kind of little fencing thing here. But I'm having it curved down here so that it gives you a peekaboo to the beach, okay? So now, all right. So I'll have all this well laid out and you'll know what everything is. Some of the footprints go this way. And then, you can always, have little marks in the sand to show the unevenness. But we're going to have plenty of beach grasses here, because they're great to do. Beach grasses are wonderful to do thread painting. So that's going to be down here. Then right about right here, and it's going to have a specific shape. There's going to be the dark sand. That is the sand right before the water. So it's where the water has kind of wet the sand. So you're going to have a strip of dark sand. You'll need a darker color, or you can use your ink tints. So you'll have a strip of wet sand here. Then we're going to have our first little white wave, and it's where the wave is crashing up on the shore like that. And I'll teach you different ways to do that. Then the next phase is where the water tends to look like this, like it's going up. It's a funny phenomenon. You'll see it in the pictures that I chose. And it leaves little dribbles of white because this water's hit the shore and then the wave is going back out to get ready to do it again. Then we'll have another line of white waves here because I like to add, I want to add a lot. And what I'll do is I'll put white, I'll draw exactly where it's supposed to be white. And then out here, we're going to have a very dark blue out. Whoops, let me get you into seeing. There's going to be an area of very dark blue here, but then a medium dark blue goes right along beside the horizon. So this is ocean. Then you'll have the dark blue. Then what we're going to have is a sunset, but it's just going to be a little muted. So there's going to be like the sun here. And then there's going to be a row of light orange that goes gently across the horizon. And then the way it reflects into part of the sky, then blue sky, and you can do a few clouds. So this is the beach scene I'm thinking of. If you have a light box, the best thing would be to take and put the fabric on top of the drawing. And like I told you, I will make sure to go over everything with a Sharpie so it can be seen. Oh, bye, Marcia, hun. Oops. Okay, darling. Now, so I'll have it all nice and dark, everything labeled. And let me show you the images that I used to get this drawing. Okay? Let me show you, because that will make a lot of sense. And that way I can tell you, why did I choose the images I did and to put them together? So hold on just a second. Let me bring this up. January 5th. Make this larger. Beach. Okay. Here is one of them. Oh, here they are. No. Okay. This is one of the images I chose because I wanted to see how to do the fencing, the beach fencing. Okay. And then footprints. It's really good with footprints. Then, let me close out that. Here is, I loved that little dip in between the dunes, framing the ocean. But I didn't want my sun right in the middle. I'm putting it a little more over this way. But this is one of the things that I used. Then let me go back to this. Let me see. Best beach scenes. All right. So let me show you, and I will give you all of these inspiration photos so that you too can see how to come on, get bigger. Well, that one's not coming up, but that's a good one of the dune grass. All right, here's another one. I use this one for the waves. So you can see the dark part of the sand, the regular sand, dark part of the sand, and then the wave activity. I wanted to have enough. Now, this is what I used for the piling, for some idea of this, and then this fencing. So I used this one. That one, I'm not sure I really used that much, but it will help with some of the ocean. I loved this one for the beach grasses. And this one, that's a beautiful sun. Actually, these are going to be sunrises. I'm on the East Coast, so it's a sunrise. If you're on the West Coast, it's a sunset. Here is another one I used for the fencing. Oh, I just realized they've got 3 rows of wire to hold the fencing together. I've got to add another row of wire. But I like the sunrise look, and I think that's really neat. This one is one I use for the dune grasses. And that also made me see that I liked a little offset sunrise. I thought that was pretty. So it's not right in the center. Because you try not to do things. This is where I got my idea for the sea oats. Look at them. So, and see, I love how dramatic that is right there. I like all of that. Gives a sense of depth. Isn't that neat? Then here again, this is what another one that gave me that idea of you're walking through the dunes. Yeah, that's another one. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. Did that one also? My hand is very shaky tonight, and I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, this gave me a good idea for the sunrise. Okay. And here we go. Another, look, see the image of that fencing? And you can look at the way to get that sense of depth, the way that it curves, and the dune grasses, and the footprints. That is a beautiful sunrise or sunset if you're on the West Coast. And, oh yeah, this one I loved. See, I just want to do something simple like that. I don't want it to take up all of the energy of the picture. Another one of the beach fencing. So I will pick about 5 photos that I used. Now that one, this is all about the sunrise, and I want it to be a whole composition. So let's see. I think I got them all to show you. All right. So I'm going to pick the best 5. But you can see how I did not use just one image. I did not use one image. I use inspiration and then, okay, I use inspiration and then cobble together my favorite things. It's like I get a chance to see and go, ooh, I really like that beach fence. Oh, I really like that grass. Oh, I really like the way the sand dips. So it's creating your own work of art, but using good inspiration. All right. I think, and you know what? You are welcome to ask for my pattern, or you can come up with your very own too. So whatever makes it easy. The reason I offer patterns is sometimes people just need that start. And what I'm trying to teach you is how to make a landscape, how to look at value and color and perspective. That's the word I couldn't, perspective on the beach fence. And just freeing you to have fun and just jump in. So if you want to make your own design, do it. But don't feel bad if you use a pattern, because a pattern is a stepping off point. You can change it any way you want. You can start with it and then go a different direction, whatever. But it's just to make it easy for you to jump in and try it. So let me know if you're on our groups IO. I will put the pattern on there along with a note that gives you a link to the pattern section. And then I will, that will be on the site tomorrow. And then if you don't go on the actual site groups IO, or you aren't a member yet, send me an email. Let me give you this. Our time to quilt at twc.com. And hopefully I wrote that right. Okay. And sometimes I forget when you're on here. Now I'm hoping I'll remember Debbie, got to remember that. But if you send me an email, then I'll zoom it right back out to you. And it might come in 2 emails, since it'll be 4 pages for the pattern and 5 photos. So, but anyway, I love doing it, because if I can make it easy enough, then you'll want to try it. And when you try it, it's amazing how easy and successful you can do. This one's going to be a lot easier than the Woodland. We don't have all of those rocks to make. We don't have all of those trees and leaves. This one's going to be a piece of cake. All right. So thank you. Thank you for spending some time with me tonight. I will have the pattern ready tomorrow. Shoot me an email or go on our Groups IO site. I'll leave a post with the link. All right, guys. Take good care. Thank you for giving me another extra night. I appreciate it. I needed it. Y'all are the best. Thank you very much. Take good care. And I'm going to get a good night's sleep tonight. No staying up till 4:30 in the morning, okay? And Jody, feel better, sweetheart. Hang in there with these tummies. Bye-bye. You are all the best. Thank you.